Hello and a warm welcome to MANOVAAC session. This is episode 9 from season 3. And a very interesting question that we have for Guruji, which I'm sure that many of us have somewhere in back of our mind. So Guruji, why does negativity exist? It's so easy for divinity to just eliminate it. Why we have to be like fighting with that so much and keep failing and falling, and no, what is the whole idea behind this negativity?
Negative forces.
Yeah. Or whatever we understand of negativity, and maybe forces, maybe energy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know this is a question that is asked a number of times. Like, why does negativity exist in the universe?
Yes.
And can't God just, wave a wand and
I swear,
and make it all disappear and everything is hunky dory and happy again? No, it's
and yeah, there have been what you say attempts by positivity to conquer negativity, but I've never seen it being eliminated. It just like being pushed aside and again it comes back.
True. See, firstly, there is a purpose for negativity to be there, and there are negative forces in the universe, and they play a role. Okay. Now, you say, but why does God allow them to exist? I mean, isn't He powerful enough to just blow them away? But universe doesn't work like that. Divinity doesn't work like that. There is the freedom to expand and a process of creation that takes place without a divinity actually trying to manipulate the process. It aids the process, does not manipulate it. Now, it's a little difficult to understand because these are concepts that go beyond the intellect. But I'll try to make it as simple as I can. You see, since each soul, each aspect of creation has a soul, whatever's life has soul, we are given free will. And that is our biggest, you can say, the free will or the discriminative intellect is one of the biggest allowances that is given in creation. Okay. Now, it would completely go against the whole scheme of things if you gave free will and then you took it away by manipulating the process. So, if divinity has given us this gift of free will, then you can't say, okay, now wave a wand and take away a large part of that, a chunk of that free will. You understand? So, what happens is, as creation devolves, see, creation devolves through many dimensions and it settles in the physical dimension. So, we are basically concerned with the physical and the astral dimension, or the one above that. Now, in these dimensions, the free will of certain souls create negativity, maybe out of ignorance or whatever experiences they go through.
Guruji...
One minute. Just hear me out.
Yeah.
And certain souls, whether they are in the astral world or in the physical world, out of the depth of ignorance, become negative or may even qualify into evil forces, what we call evil.
By choice.
By choice. By choice. And that is by choice, meaning it is because of their grossness and ignorance and their free will, ultimately. Ultimately, it is operation of free will. So, this is how the universe gets, at least these two dimensions, the astral and the physical, get their quota of negativity, or what we term as evil forces. They exist in the spirit world and they exist in the physical world. Now, as I said, in the universe there is always polarity. There's always two poles to everything. So, when the evil force is created, there will always be a positive force that will stand up. Because
it happens,
because that
automatically.
automatically happens to create balance.
Okay.
So, the positive force will also rise as much as the evil or the negative force prevails. So, there is always a certain quantum of negative forces in the universe in these two dimensions.
Okay.
And
it doesn't exist beyond.
Not beyond
those
those. No, those dimensions don't have negativity.
Oh.
You cannot. That vibration cannot.
It doesn't suit.
It doesn't match that vibration, so you cannot have that. So only in the astral and the physical you have negative forces or evil forces. So you will have polarity. You will always have positive, negative. There'll always be a tension. There'll always be a fight. There'll always be a competition to sort of
win over
or expand the negative forces want to expand their negativity.
And
the positive will want to expand their positivity and overcome the negative forces. So this constant push and pull and tussle goes on in these two dimensions.
Okay. I'm trying to understand, Guruji, we have known through you that this creation was created out of love. And I'm sure in love you can't expect even iota of negativity. So how it came into existence, or it's through...
No, again, the love of God is only what creates the first souls. But after that, you're given free will.
Oh, immediately after that, the journey
The
of free will starts.
The journey starts with you getting a discriminative intellect, a spiritual
Choice,
heart,
and
a lower mind, and an ego, or rather an identification. When you identify yourself as a separate soul, separate from the Creator, that moment you get your free will. I mean, that is the whole point. Otherwise, everyone would be a robo. And we would robotically do what the Creator or the highest soul wants us to do.
Decides.
But that is not the case.
Okay.
I mean, then there would be no experiment. Then there would be no progress. There would be no journey. There would be no journey.
No journey.
So, free will was given so that we could
So at that point, there was nothing like negative as such. It's only through our choices the souls created.
Souls create the negativity. They choose that negativity out of ignorance, because in the spirit world it is denial of a higher force or a supreme force.
It's termed as negative force.
Or negative or evil forces.
Okay.
And here it is gross ignorance, which could manifest in many ways. I mean, even the most religious person could be a very negative person. So,
in what way? Can you elaborate a little bit, Guruji?
I mean, you may presume you may be in a religious institution, or you may follow a religion, but you may practice in life. You may indulge in murder, mayhem, greed, thievery,
violence, or
so many things. So it's like that. I mean, you choose that out of your free will. You know.
So
and even I'm not saying only evil, but negativity manifests even in our own day-to-day lives. I mean,
I want to understand what we term as negativity. So can you just give a
our
all-round idea?
emotions, when our emotions are not positive, and we harbor negative emotions and we react out of those negative emotions, we are creating negativity for ourselves. It may not affect the world at large, it may affect us or a few people around us in our lives. Yeah. But that adds to the negativity.
Because I know if there are 600 billion people on planet Earth and it's impossible to be positive all the time. So does it affect that collective consciousness?
It does affect the collective consciousness as well. But the collective consciousness is again balanced by the positive people also. So it's not that every human being is negative. You may have a share of negativity, but there are times when you're positive also. And there are a lot of people who are positive a lot of times. Yeah, so you keep going in and out of positivity, negativity. So everyone is not 100% negative all the time. Everyone's not 100% positive all the time. So that balance keeps taking place.
It's like read or like heard that this war of positive and negative is fought through human beings.
Yes.
So what is the context behind this? Behind saying this, like why human beings are in the middle of the
basically we are the guinea pigs. I mean, in this laboratory,
doesn't sound too good.
In this laboratory, I mean, ultimately it is the humans who no. I'll tell you why. Because suffering is in the physical plane, in the physical world. And in the astral world, there is no suffering. Not the type of suffering that we assume. It is only mental at best. But here there's all type of suffering, physical, mental, emotional, every type of suffering, and it is accentuated because of our physical form.
And ignorance.
So, because ignorance is also heightened over here. Correct, absolutely. And all our negative traits, like greed, jealousy, anger, everything blossoms to its full extent in the physical when you take birth. The same things, you are the same soul in the astral, but it's in seed form. So there it may not manifest in its full force. Here it manifests in its full force. Therefore, this is the playground. This is where the action is.
Okay. And this is where then the negativity can affect us to the maximum.
To the maximum. And so to the positivity.
Positive also.
So to the positive. So you can enjoy the positive to the maximum in the physical plane.
So these negative entities lead the negative side.
Absolutely.
And where is the positive side? Like
of course, it's the positive side.
But who leads that? Like saints, sages?
Saints, sages, and even very positive human beings. I mean, they don't need to be a saint or a sage to do that. You just need to be a very positive person.
I think this is very beautiful point that Guruji is elaborating, that we also can be part of either of this, and it's matter of choice for all of us. So it's so beautiful, Guruji, that we are not guinea pigs as it appears to be.
You don't have to persist being a guinea pig. You can come out of that victimhood and say that no, I'll lead the forces of light, or I'll lead the forces of positivity, and I will participate as a soldier who will fight against negativity. And that many people do consciously or unconsciously.
Unconsciously, I know, but when you become conscious, I think we can contribute much more.
You can contribute better because you know what you're doing, and you do it more persistently.
Persistently, yes.
And with focus. So definitely, I mean that's why we call people who are normally healers or who are into helping humanity, we call them the soldiers of light, or the forces of light. You know, so they are not somebody sitting in the astral plane. No, they are here on earth. They are here in the physical, and they are doing that work to increase positivity and reduce human suffering. Because human suffering is the playground of negativity. Negativity wants to increase human suffering.
One more thing that I've heard from you, Guruji, that there is a purpose to everything. Even for the existence of these negative forces.
Yes.
And how you have to understand light, you have to see the darkness.
Correct.
There is always some purpose.
Yes.
So do you want to say that divinity can make use of even the worst thing to get some positive result?
It's automatic. I mean, just as you appreciate light because there is darkness, so too you appreciate the positive because there is negative. And that is one of the reasons why negativity is allowed to persist. And of course, besides the free will part of it, it persists in equal measure only so that the ignorant can realize that there are two sides, and when you see one, only then you appreciate the other. So when you see the negative, when you suffer that, then you turn towards positive, or then you align with the positive.
Guruji, what a
So
great,
it's a grand plan.
Yeah, what a great role gurus like you or saints and sages are doing, because
part of the
it's so
process.
easy to forget all these things. And when I look at like common people who don't read so much, or who don't think consciously about positive and negative so much, so they keep swaying and are like puppets, where like you can say that they're guinea pigs.
Sure.
It takes a conscious choice.
So when people go on the spiritual path, they are anchoring themselves in positivity. Of course, they do dip and they slip down and stuff like that, but they're basically anchoring themselves in positivity. Sure. That is why we encourage more and more people to do sadhana or to go on the spiritual path, to change their thinking, to become
attitude,
positive, change their attitude. Understand the
life.
real purpose of life. For what? The whole thing is to shift them towards the positive and anchor them there.
Guruji, I can't thank you enough, because all these things, okay, at certain level we can understand intellectually, but when you made us aware of how to see and analyze whatever is happening from a higher perspective, I think that was a big change for me, to see positive even in worst of the things, which otherwise for a human being could be very devastating or could be very traumatizing.
We take a superficial view of things. So you have to, as you evolve, or as you get more enlightened, I would say, you see things not only from different perspective, from a higher perspective. And you see the purpose behind those, even those seemingly very negative situations or negative events.
So it's a complete, it's a system where you have to be aware. Only then you can
you deal with the system.
Deal and be anchored
in
positivity.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
See, also when we are anchored in positivity, or we are consciously making an effort to be positive, I also feel negative forces attack you that time more. So it's like
it's not that they attack you, but the blast of negativity is always directed towards the
person
people
who's
who are
trying to be
more positive.
Yeah.
The person who's trying to be negative is very uncomfortable with that negative environment. So when you're very positive, you obviously feel the blast of that negativity. Yes, of course you do.
And it's like a big blow that comes.
It is.
It's like again a testing time.
Yeah, but then you are given. That is why you are given certain, I would say, ways and means of dealing with it, and you're taught certain things, how to deal with negative forces.
That's the beauty of your teachings, Guruji. It's not just dry sermons or philosophy. We all have been gifted with such strong practices. So pulling out of negative becomes very, very easy.
Yeah.
And
it has to be practical. It has to have a desired result.
You can't just keep telling ki, get rid of your anger, or why you are in depression or hateful. It's so easy to say.
The realization comes very fast, because we know, okay, we are hit by negativity. Now we have to work over it. So that is, I mean, the tools are helping there.
Tools help, and ultimately you have to decide. I mean, it's again free will. You want to align with the negative forces,
or remain in that state.
And remain there, or you want to be positive.
Right.
That's.
So yes, negativity will exist, and there is a purpose to it. So there is no wand that will be like
So you use your free will and come towards positivity.
So basically, you end your own negativity. There is no God sitting to take care of your negativity.
The universal force is help. The universal forces help you.
But it's your
provided you take the first step and you make an effort, then you get help. It's not that just God just lifts you up and takes you from negative to positive. And no, it doesn't work that way.
No. Because
your free will is then destroyed.
To lean towards negative was also a choice.
It was your
So,
choice.
to
So
go
coming
to
out also is your
positive
choice.
also has to be our choice.
Choice and ask for help, maybe. That help.
That is up to you. Whether you ask for help or
on
you
your
self-persevere.
own.
Yes,
You can self-persevere and come out of it. Absolutely. That depends on each individual.
Oh, thank you so much. I think I am so very sure I know exactly what you are trying to say here, and I hope this explains and clears your doubts as well. So now I ask Chanchal to ask her questions.
Yeah. So Guruji, the next question is, when everyone agrees that there is one supreme universal power, why do we see conflict among different religions and faiths? Will the world ever experience humanity as the only religion, and will everyone live in peace? Ever?
It's not happened so far, but yes, it is a possibility in the future sometime. I don't know when. I mean, that is not for me to decide or even speculate. But yeah, the conflict, as you say, every religion agrees that there is only one God. But the problem is everyone thinks their God is the only God. So this is where the conflict arises, you know, and till a large number of people who are in charge of the religion are not actually enlightened beings, this conflict will not end. You see, the problem is that religions were not given by prophets. They were created out of what great sages, saints, prophets have said or have lived their lives, their teachings.
Right.
They were converted into religion.
Later.
Later,
Yes.
after the prophet passed away or the saint passed away. This conversion was done by normal human beings.
Right.
That is A. B, as time passed, they created institutions to take this further,
Formalize
to
it.
formalize it,
Formalize or spread
to
it.
spread it,
Yeah.
to expand on it. Now, these institutions were controlled and run by ordinary human beings who were not only ignorant, but in fact full of greed and lust for power and money.
Control.
So what happened is that religion fell into the hands of crooks, basically. Especially religions that are institutionalized and
Heavily.
you know and have a pyramidic structure.
Somebody calling shots.
Somebody who was or a group of people who call the shots. So this became completely corrupted, and therefore the conflict is there, because then they will say, okay, we are the best and only our God is the only God, and what our religion teaches is the best, and nobody else, everyone else is rubbish.
Right.
Is it?
And the agenda is to let every single human being be led by only this religion.
yes.
And yeah,
So,
and
no
to
choice, no
and to bring more and more people, because
More
you
and more
see,
people,
how will you amass wealth and power? Only if you have more and more
Yes.
people with you.
Yes.
Empire building.
Empire building, yeah.
And not only that, so many human beings then can be manipulated.
Right.
And it's a humongous force. Like if there are
Is
lakhs
it?
and lakhs of followers.
So that's what I'm saying, that the lust for power is what motivates them to then expand their
and
their
it's so
base.
easy to mislead such masses who are ruled by
Absolutely.
ignorance
Absolutely.
and
And blind faith.
blind faith.
Blind
faith.
Absolutely.
So beginning was all positive. But
Big-
it's the
Absolutely.
humans who corrupted the whole thing and the thought process behind.
The sages, saints, prophets who gave the initial teaching or
Yes.
who lived that kind of a life, they were pristine. I mean, they were.
And they never had an intention to start a new
They
religion.
never did. No.
Yeah, so
they
it
just
started-
came for pure helping humanity to lift themselves up.
And
But-
that also, I think, for that era, for those people who are around them at
And
that
a
time.
lot of
Yes.
a lot of the teachings were meant for those people at that time. You know, it's only later that this corruption took place and therefore the conflict. But I'll tell you one thing, last thing. Yes, as we go maybe 100, 200 years from now, I think the new generations that are coming in will probably push this old conflict of religion out and take humanity as a religion. Maybe it may be called by another name or something of that sort, that I don't know. But I'm again not talking of a utopian world, but yes, a large number of people will follow humanity as a religion and discard these discriminative, boxed up religions, which say only us and nobody else. They will throw those walls, they'll break those walls, and probably consider humanity as the primary religion.
Guruji, can you give some highlights? What will be the highlights of religion called humanity? Like some key points where we can identify, okay,
we are moving towards
it's not going to happen in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. At least we can practice humanity.
You
at
practice
our
your
level.
humanity. This is not happening in our lifetime. That's why it's 100, 200 years.
Like I just want to
in the future.
understand humanity as a religion, because every religion has certain guidelines. Then you identify.
Yeah, but no. The primary objective first has to be not to hurt, harm, or injure somebody, and to recognize that every soul is a part of one God and one divine soul. I mean, till you understand that, you're going to have these watertight compartments called religions, and those walls will have to one day come down. It's
Only with that concept of oneness can we overcome these walls.
Correct.
It's tough, Guruji. It's a tall order.
It will happen sometime in future. But as I said, not in our lifetime.
For that feeling of humanity to come out, I think a lot of suffering has to
go
be.
The world has gone through a lot of suffering.
And there are people who are coming out of that cage of religion somewhere because they don't identify with those values anymore.
Yes.
They don't.
As I said, the future generations are going to reject religion.
Right, and they will follow what their heart says.
Yes.
So it may not be a certain religion.
No.
Just a practice or something which makes them feel better.
Yes.
Fine. Thank you, Guruji.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. See you next time. Thank you.